Welcome to the virtual tour of the Repeat exhibition here at Elysium in Swansea High Street. Here is a very keen observer of the exhibition. No escape. And I'm going to start by showing this banner. People may know I'm a school teacher. We made this banner at school. We used an overhead projector, which is a thing we used to have in schools, projected it on the wall in the gym, drew around it, and then painted it. I don't know how we got away with it, but we did. One of the people involved with making it was called Rowan, and he's gone on to work for Radio 1, Radio 2, at the chart show, Spotify, Boo, and all that sort of thing. Now, next I'm going to show you this collage here. So, as I said, I worked in a school, and the class I taught in 92, 93, they were very keen on music, and through me, I guess, they became very keen on the Manics. And one of them, whose mum I knew, said, why don't we set up our own Manics fanzine? And he was really keen on doing collages like this. And he came up with the name Repeat for the fanzine. And we haven't looked back since. That was Dweeb. There he is up there with Smash, who were one of the bands that supported us early on. And there's also one of his brilliant artworks there. There's a picture of Nicky Wire getting bottled off at Swansea Heineken Festival in 1993. At the end of the school year, December, we had to make calendars in class, and Dweeb made a calendar of Nicky Wire getting bottled off at Singleton. And this is the dog again. Sorry. There he goes. Hello. Here's another Dweeb collage. And here he is, the boy himself, playing in the classroom. We didn't actually have Repeat written on the wall in the classroom, sadly. Somebody has done some photoshopping on that. Now, the sad news about Dweeb is that he died 2 years ago in his late 30s, which was a real shock because he'd been a great friend to me ever since he was little. We worked with all his bands that he's been involved with. I've even got some unreleased songs of his on the computer from his most recent work. I need to decide with his family if they're going to release that ever. So, Manics. The Manics inspired us to set up Repeat. There's the first ever interview we did, which was with a band called Flamingos. And that happened because somebody, namely Kathy St. Luce, who worked for All or Nothing, which was the Manics PR company, started to take us seriously and sent us records and sent us guest lists and so on. And it all happened from there. So I'm going to show you some of the pictures that prove this. Here's Danny from the Wild Hearts. That was the first massive gig I covered with a photo pass. I'd never taken photos in a massive venue, and they said, oh, watch out, there's going to be pyros, and you've only got 3 songs, and you're not allowed to use flash. So I had to phone Phil Rose, Esquire, in America, asking him, how do I take photos with no flash and pyros? And actually, the photo I took of Ginger was fairly decent. So there's Danny. Sadly, Danny's not well at the moment. He's overdone the rock and roll lifestyle, and he's crowdfunding to fund his health, which is a horrible situation for anyone to be in. Also, thanks to All or Nothing, we got a photo pass for taking photos of Dub War. He's Benji, South Wales legend. Dub War, what a fantastic band. And they just released a 3rd album after about a 30-year hiatus. Of course, Benji's also in Skindred, who are another incredible band. As I'm here, here's Zareen, introducing a band at the Portland Arms in Cambridge. Artwork here by Russell Taysom, who is now a very well-known illustrator. Another of Russell's works here. I'll show you some more in a minute. Here's Loki, who we got for our massive Love Music Hate Racism gig 2 years ago. Bad Shout. I do like that front cover. Some collage work. Back to the other side. Another massive collage which won't really come out in the video. This is an unused poster actually. It looks really good now that we've printed it out. It was unused because we added Gaffer Tape Sandy to the bill, and we had to make a more Gaffer Tape Sandy flavoured poster, but I do really like that one. A couple of years ago, we had the very unusual proposition of 2 releases on the same day. So we build it, Tom Emlyn versus Swansea Sound, Welsh Indie Weight Championship, the No Chart Showdown. There it is. Now, when I first moved back to South Wales, one of the first things I went to was to see Idols in Spillers. I thought every day was going to be like that. The second album had just shot into the charts, and here I was watching them in front of 40 people in a tiny record store. This is the Manics more recently. I love the way that Rich is looming in the background. Here's a Phil Rose photo of the Manics in 1991 from the Marquee, I think, in London. Here's a big box, posters and so on. All this stuff, these goodies, are available on our Bandcamp page. What else? Last couple of things to show. Anyone know who this is? Now, a minute ago, I showed you the Repeat banner looking slightly old, the original Repeat banner. Here it is back when it was shiny and new. We had a band on the label called the Safs who attracted this glammed up, pissed up, made up group of teenagers who became the Safs fans, and there was a little scene in Cambridge around the Safs. And there they are in front of the banner. The banner doesn't look quite as tidy as that now. The banner has since then has been covered in smoke, because used to go to smoking pubs, signatures, badges, and even a bit of blood. Somebody signed the name in blood. Here's me, 1997, celebrating the Tories getting kicked out. Something we did again recently. Does anything ever change? Mad Sheep was a club we ran, club night before. We had another one called Panic. This poster was made by hand, cutting out every single word by hand and pasting them on. It was so fluffy and floppy and gooey. But then we used this lovely paper with different shades of colour on it, and it looks pretty good. This is another sad one. There's too many sad pictures. This is 60 Foot Dolls, who were a band that took us to their heart and to their dressing rooms and to their riders and to their guest lists, and always had time for us wherever I turned up across South Wales or East Anglia. And sadly, Carl on the right died very recently. Just read Richard's book, by the way. Richard's the guitar singer on the left, guitarist and singer. His book, Stray Dogs, is definitely worth a read. These are meant to be these are confrontational posters by a band called Virgin Suicides. Some of the collages we've seen before were also by Dickon of that band. They were perhaps the most Manics-inspired band that we ever released. They really had the confrontational side of it. Here's Panic Shack. This is an old fanzine sleeve. This is Fembug, brilliant band, sadly no more, playing in my schoolyard at Swansea. Baby Seals, who released a track on an early Flexi. This was the Flexi launch poster. Their new album has just come out. You should have a listen if you haven't done so yet. Some gig photography by Steve Bateman, who is a long-standing brilliant photographer, contributed for many years. Did I show you this before? I think I did. The calendar. And the Nicky Wire getting bottled off at Swansea. Nice Manics collage by Phil. Russell Taysom, picture of Boris, the single that got rid of Boris Johnson, maybe. Another dweeb collage, goat on a cone. Another Russell Taysom piece of brilliance. Another Phil Rose piece of brilliance. Another fanzine piece of brilliance. Love Music Hate Racism design. Hung upside down, I believe, which makes it even more interesting. Special prize if anyone can work out what tune is written there on the stave. James White, there playing at the Portland in Cambridge. He was a brilliant role model. He took several trips to the jungle, which was a refugee camp in Calais, looking after the refugees there, teaching them guitar, and then he came back to our class and to our school and took all the kids in assembly, 450 of the primary school kids, and talked about refugees, because there'd been a bit of racism towards the refugee I was working with, and he completely turned it around for that boy. And he as I say, he's a brilliant role model. Amel and the Sniffers playing in Seattle. Thanks to Phil for that photo. My brilliant band, obviously, Foxy Ramone, playing the Monkey House. Another front cover. Dweeb in my classroom. As I may have mentioned, it didn't really say repeat on the wall. I think that was Photoshop. Here's some records to finish with, hung up. Primitive Soul, teenage band from Blackwood, who sent me a mail saying, you've got to work with us, we just get what you're about. So I went down to Blackwood with my laptop, recorded their first single, which is called Rock and Roll Suicide, with the B-side called Bathing in a Pool of Your Own Lies. So you can see they're slightly Mannix influenced. This is the Saffs, another that picture by Matt Charlton, who did some brilliant cartoon work for us. The Saffs who spawned the scene, who had those kids in front of the banner. Night Bus by Bomb Factory, brilliant Cambridge band, political, lot spoken word, angry. Sadly, John is no longer with us, John Clare of the band. That shared a vinyl with a track by Attila the Stockbroker, which was great for me because Attila was a long-time hero. Get Flexit Done, what a great name for a flexi. Great artwork as well. Sadly, it was overlooked slightly because the pandemic came in the day it was meant to be released. Single with Chris TT and Cozy Cozy, who are a brilliant boy-girl fronted band from Cambridge. Really brilliant. They burned really brightly. Russell's image of Boris again. Double track single, one of them recorded as a supergroup of Bury St Edmunds bands and one of them a Swansea supergroup. And here we have Trouble, a version recorded by some 11-year-olds in my school in Swansea, remixed for free by Helen Love, who also donated a guitar. And Helen is quite reclusive, doesn't come to many Swansea gigs, but in fact the only gig I've ever seen her at was at the Atomic Beat Boys gig, their single launch. Atomic Beat Boys named after a Helen Love song, of course. Do You Think I'm Flexi? Featuring Swansea Sound. Four Star Mary, who were the band on the Buffy films. We released a single with them. There's a few copies of that left if anybody wants one. More Flexies. I can't believe the artwork on this Flexi. It looks like it's standing up and going to hit you. Most of these Flexies, there's small numbers available if anybody wants one. Smash. I showed you a picture of Smash ages ago. They were big at the time. They played the Anti-Nazi League Carnival in London. They played Top of the Pops. They had a song about assassinating the Tory cabinet. And they reformed just a month ago to play the Repeat 30th Party. What a brilliant, inspiring, wonderful band. Virgin Suicides, who I mentioned before. Lovely collage, artwork. Miss Black America, one of the most important bands in Repeat's history. When I used to run new bands nights on a Monday at the Portland Arms in Cambridge, this young teenager came up to me, put a cassette in my hand and said, listen to this, we're the best band in the world, Repeat and Miss Black America have got to work together. And guess what? He's just about right. The first single we released by them is the only thing we've ever released that sold out before it was released. And since then he's done some absolutely astonishing stuff. And he runs an astonishing night now in Bury St Edmunds to Seymour. It's called Washing Machine Club, if you want to listen to that. Have a go down. If you're ever in Bury St Edmunds, fortnightly night is brilliant. It's brilliant band and brilliant atmosphere. Safe for all ages. A lot of moshing, a lot of dancing, a lot of enthusiasm. The number of kids who are in bands in Bury St Edmunds is testament to Seymour's work. And I'm sure that is part of the reason the far right haven't been able to establish themselves in Bury St Edmunds, because everybody feels too good about themselves to try to pick on somebody else. Since returning to Swansea, I felt incredibly welcomed everywhere I've gone. Like last night I went to Cardiff for a gig and I thought I wouldn't know anybody there. I knew half the audience. And the fact that we've got this brilliant exhibition here makes me feel really welcome. The only thing I thought was lacking with the Swansea scene was there weren't enough bands with women in them. So we produced this record, which has got 4 South Wales bands, all female fronted, if you want to use that word. Couldn't think of a title for it. Helen Love, who's one of the bands on the track, one of the bands on the record, said she'd judge to decide a name for them, for the record, and all the names weren't that brilliant, to be fair, until a boy in my class said, why don't we call it Cardiff Gets Splattered, after the Swansea chant, Cardiff Gets Battered. And I thought Helen Love will never go for that. And she said, no, that's genius, that is genius title, call it Cardiff Gets Splattered. I'm really proud of that record. Horse Party that Seymour from Miss Black America went on to be in. And this is the first ever repeat release. It was meant to be a flexi, but all the flexi plants in the world, I think, had been smashed up at that point. Since then, the plans have been rediscovered, and that's how we managed to make flexis again. Pirate Press in America has rebuilt the flexi plant. This was meant to be a flexi, but there were no flexi plants. We had to do it on hard vinyl, 4 bands, couldn't afford labels, so it's white label, hand stamped with a monkey on one side and a sheep on the other. And honestly, stamping 1,000 labels by hand takes you quite a while, especially as you've got to look really closely to work out which side is which. A few copies of those left, surprisingly. 4 bands on it, 1 track really stands out, which is the Free Boy track. Patrick's Got Me Down. That's one of the best tracks we've ever released, actually, in all the 30 years. So Patrick's Got Me Down by Free Boy. It's not on it's not on streaming platforms, but you can get it on the Repeat Bandcamp. And here we are, The Rebel, Johnny Panic. They were a Manic Sea inspired band who were going places with a big label, and then it all went wrong. They took Sanctuary with us, released 2 more albums, but sadly overlooked. PR companies went bust. All sorts of accidents happened. Sadly, they weren't as big as they should have been. And Rob is now a fitness instructor if you want to learn how to fight properly. Now the Flexi, Open Mouth, which is another of Seymour's projects that I was proud to release. And this exhibition stays open in Elysium, which is in Swansea High Street, till September the 13th. It's open every day from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Come along, it's free, it's worth coming to, I think, because it's mine. I can't believe they've made my rubbish look so brilliant. So I'm going to finish with a shot of the original banner, because look, covered in blood, sweat, tears, beer, cigarette smoke, brilliant array of badges from 30 years. This banner has actually been retired, and the various banners in Swansea and Cambridge now do the job, but this one has come out of retirement for today. Right, thanks for watching. Keep in touch, fight the power, stay beautiful.